Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is the Junior Achievement of Kansas Personal Finance Symposium. Today, we will have our session one, which is on earning, employment, and income. We'd like to make sure to thank our sponsors that provided us with funds to be able to provide this program to our students. And those sponsors are United Way of Greater Topeka, Capital Federal, Security Benefit, Washburn University, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas, and the Kansas Insurance Education Foundation. What we're going to do today is welcome John Imming. John is the Vice President of Wealth Management at Advisors Excel. And while I'm turning the time over to John and getting him set up, I want to make sure that everyone realizes we're going to keep you on mute. We are going to ask you to keep your video sharing off. And if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and post those in the chat, and we'll follow up with those at the end of the recording. So John, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. So like Ashley said, my name is John Imming. I'm one of the VPs of Wealth Management here at Advisors Excel. So I'm coming to you from our home office here, and really excited to be with you. I love the Junior Achievement Program. I have been working with Junior Achievement for a few years now, and kind of excited that they were able to make this happen via via Zoom. So it sounds like everybody's kind of used to that scenario this day and age. So kind of with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen where we can kind of start talking about earnings, employment, and income, and kind of what goes into that, because it's not necessarily as maybe as simple as what some people tend to make it. So, and we've got some great videos in here and kind of different scenarios to kind of think about, and we'll have some activities, and we'll kind of keep those. I do want to make sure I give you time to do the activities, because there's nothing worse than me just kind of running through something and saying do it on your own time. So really looking forward to being here. So Advisors Excel, one of the most common questions I get is what we actually do here. A lot of people see us in the news, community service, just being a part of the community is such a big part of our culture here at Advisors Excel, and actually one of the things that I love about working here. We get to get out on a quarterly basis, once every few months, to get out into the community and just kind of get involved. And I love that aspect of it. But in addition to that, we also want to impact our advisors communities. So we work with financial advisors across the country. And really a financial advisor, they're just working with people, right? They're working with people on their personal finances. And it's exactly what kind of we talk about here within Junior Achievement. So there's a really strong relationship there on kind of what I do on a daily basis and kind of what the mission of Junior Achievement is, which again is kind of why I'm passionate about it and why I love to help out when they ask me to. So what we do is, like I said, we work with financial advisors across the country, and we really do anything and everything for them. We develop their radio shows. We do their TV shows. We create their websites. We help them with products, what products to sell, what may be the best fit for their client. We work in technology big time. We operate Zoom all the time. So I'm not a pro, and I probably shouldn't say that because I find that I'm actually on the older side of technology now, and it comes a little bit slower to me these days. So, so we basically work with financial advisors across the country with helping them educate their clients and people in their communities on, what to do with that income, how to invest that income to maybe make a little bit more money, maybe how to turn their money into income, right, that they can spend, or maybe safety, so that they don't lose the money. So so we'll kind of jump right into the PowerPoint here, and you should be able to see kind of a warm up here. And really the warm up is exactly kind of what I just said. So we're going to be talking about personal finance, and really within this first section, it's kind of the first of 5. And we're going to talk about kind of that first part of it is the income side of the equation. and how do we actually generate income and what's important to us. Because as odd as it sounds, it's not always about just making the most money that you possibly can. There's things that you don't want to compromise, and we're going to talk about kind of values and priorities and how those kind of fit into the income equation. So we're going to talk about this real quick. Is the more money you make, the less you have to worry about your finances. A lot of people think that, well, the more money I make, kind of the less I have to worry about it, because I can just pay all my bills. I can pay for my house and nice cars and school and everything. But is that necessarily true? That may be true for a few people, but for the most part, the more money you make, the less you have to worry about your finances. True? No, of course not. So that actually is false. All right. So this next video is actually really, really insightful on some of the people that we know or we see on TV and how much money they make in reality, and how they maybe aren't the best at using it, using it wisely. So there is a short ad that starts this video. So I apologize for that. So just sit tight for about 10 or 15 seconds here, and we'll get started on the actual video here.
We run forecasts in each country and for a range of tax scenarios.
And how do you have the resources to do that?
We don't. That's why we brought in BDO.
People who know BDO.
Is it possible to spend $110 million in a decade?
It's still hard to believe that people would go broke. How does that happen?
Many athletes are at a high risk of going bankrupt.
The first big article hit in Sports Illustrated talking about athletes going broke, and my having witnessed friends live that out, it became an inspiration to really attack this problem and build something that could be all about what to do with the excess money that we earn as athletes.
So all of a sudden when markets pull back, we now go down to how much? 900,000.
The Personal Finance Bootcamp, it's in its second year. We've doubled the attendance since last year. We only started with 20 this year. We're over 40 people. We're basically here to teach the guys, look, with the time value of money, it's actually an amazing opportunity to get all these cash flows early in life, get guys to think about their finances beyond this year, the next 5 years, but really look at it over a lifespan. You have the opportunity to set up generations of your family. One of the biggest trappings for professional athletes is the fact that our pay is public knowledge. With that comes expectations not only for a lot of charity to newfound friends and family, but also for a lifestyle that you're expected to live. I think a lot of us who have played this game have watched close friends, families be torn apart by poor financial decisions. What we want to do here by including significant others is take this potential tension and turn it into an asset. We just think it's a much better potential for family sustainability and a happy long-term outlook. There's a lot of bad information tossed around the locker room, and this is a place for them to receive unbiased information that they can go back to the locker room and combat bad information to help not only themselves but the teammates make better long-term planning decisions.
Perfect. So there's a few things in there that really kind of blew my mind. And I'd kind of read about this and kind of knew about this, but a couple of the stats in there, and I'm not sure if anybody wrote those down or remembered them, but that the average NFL player, right? We're in kind of NFL heaven here in Kansas now with Patrick Mahomes down the road. But the average NFL player doesn't actually experience what Patrick Mahomes does. So kind of what I wrote down was about the average NFL player spends about 3 years in the league and makes about $6 million. $6 million is a lot of money, and that's easily enough to live off of. But you can tell there that there's a lot of pressure there. There's a lot of social anxiety. There's a lot of peer pressure, family and friends, charities that come out of the woodworks when they realize you have money. And so I can't imagine the amount of stress that those guys are under, and just the constant pressure of, I should probably pick up that dinner bill, or, I'm kind of have this millions of dollars sitting in my bank account, yet other people are struggling to get by. They really do struggle with a lot of these issues on a daily basis. And so I was really excited to kind of see that the NFL puts together that financial bootcamp, because that is real world. That is, I was always that student, and we may have a couple of them of you on the meeting here that are struggle with math or English or literature because you're like, I don't see how this applies to my day to day. So number one, I will say it does apply, and I wish I would have realized that in high school and in college, because you can save yourself a lot of headache and a lot of relearning later. But the things that we're talking about today, this gets down to brass tacks. It doesn't matter what career you pick or whatever you do. Income and earnings, your job is going to be a daily thing. Okay. So everything is business. It doesn't matter whether you're a teacher or, a religious vocation. Everything has a business component to it. All right. So understanding where that money comes from and how to make money is extremely important. Unfortunately, it's the world that we live in. So today, we're just going to kind of continue to talk about some of these things, values and priorities, and kind of our education goals and how that can affect our career decisions. We're also going to talk about what your priorities are, so that you can really start to, do some soul searching, so to speak, and kind of identify really who you are. Because we all have different personality traits, right? And nothing is right or wrong. Okay, it's just who we are. So we're going to kind of talk to that a little bit, and then also how those decisions affect others. Because every decision that we make, every choice that we make, it affects other people, whether we want to admit it or not. So let's continue to dig in here. So we're going to explore earning money and what that actually means. So the most common way that we think about earning money is a job, right? I'm sitting here at Advisors Excel. I show up every day from 8 to 5. Sometimes I have to work nights. Sometimes I have to travel, but I get a paycheck, right? That's the most common way that we think about income. But there are other ways that we can generate or get income too. As a kid, I have a 4, 6, and an 8-year-old, and they're in the prime of losing their teeth. Right. So the tooth fairy comes to our house about once a month right now, and they earn a little bit of money. It's only $1, but it's kind of how, they understand money today. So we teach them about, okay, what does that dollar actually mean? And how can we, save it? Can we spend it? Maybe how can we maximize how we use that dollar? Now it's birthdays, it's Christmases, it's jobs. And in some of the future lessons, we're going to talk about other things that can make you money more passively. Savings account. I can go put my money at the bank and they will pay me to put my money there. Not very much right now, but they will pay me, which is great. Okay, so it's kind of having your money work for you. Priorities. These are the choices. That when you're comparing two options, you have to choose which one is a higher priority. Is my higher priority working 80 hours a week and making more money? Or is it taking that time and cutting it in half and spending it with my family? Making sure I'm there for my kids and my wife. So it's really important that you understand what your priorities are, because they can get flip-flopped a lot. Sometimes I get stuck in money mode, and the more I work, the more money I make. And it's not always about the money. So it's about keeping those priorities straight. And a lot of that depends on your values. Okay. Everybody has different values. All right. So I value honesty and integrity. Those are probably pretty common across most people. I run a team of people here at the office, here at Advisors Excel, and I want them to value hard work. I want them to value showing up to work, doing a good job to earn that paycheck, and to be motivated by that. And so I don't want them to be motivated by earning more money and working more hours, because that's not a good balanced life. Okay, so values, it doesn't just come into my values. I now have to look at other people's values and do our values align. That's extremely important. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a student activity break here real quick. I'm going to hold this up. You should all have a document there that I believe your teachers sent out. It says earning, employment, and income on it. It should look like, I believe you're seeing my screen here that says it's basically got a PDF on it. And we're going to start talking through this, and we're going to kind of scroll to the bottom of this screen. All right, we're going to start talking about this priorities and values exercise. So what I'm going to do is just to kind of lay the groundwork here. We have the priorities listed on the left side, the priorities and values, and this goes on to the next page as well. And we have the high growth career options to the right. Okay, so right now I just want to focus on the first column. And I want you to take a couple minutes. I'll give you a few minutes here to take a look through those. And I want you to just look at that and see, okay, which ones really resonate with me? Which ones really kind of jump off the page and, you know, kind of speak to me as something that I'm really interested in this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of start my timer here. I'm going to give you about 4 minutes or so to about 10, 20 to really look at this and go ahead and check off those 3, 4, 5 that you feel like are really speaking to you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and it'll be quiet here for a minute. Go ahead and take a moment and look through those. Okay, and I'm going to do the exercise as we go as well. And if you've had a chance to kind of read through those and you've kind of selected 3, 4, 5, you will notice that there is a couple options down at the bottom where they're blank. There might be something that's extremely important to you that isn't listed. Okay, you only have one page, so you know, you couldn't fit all the priorities and values on one page. Feel free. It's like, well, none, you know, some of these definitely resonate, but you know, there might be something that just isn't really speaking to you. Go ahead and write that down in one of those 2 open spots. And then I also want you to prioritize these. Okay, so we talked about having values and what is important, but really when it comes down to weighing 2 options, which one is more important to you? All right, so in that middle column, go ahead and rank those, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And don't worry if you don't have the form, just use a blank sheet of paper, honestly, and write down, okay, these are the 3 to 5 things that I think are most important. Family, salary, you know, travel. It could really be any number of things. And again, there's no right or wrong answers on this. This is another thing I love about this exercise and everything that I do with Junior Achievement is it's not a test. You can't fail it. It's just about kind of finding out who I am and what I think is the most important. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share a picture. So this was, I think you can see that picture there. This is me on a fire crew. So I used to fight forest fires for a number of years. And back when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I valued excitement. I valued travel. Wasn't really thinking about family or money. It was all about how can I have fun and maybe make a little money while I'm doing it. So this job is highly stressful. It was really exciting and sometimes miss it, but it was working 16 hours a day, you know, for 6 months straight, very little breaks, very little family time. I mean, you were just there with the guys. As I've aged, so now I'm approaching 40 years old. I mentioned my family. This is my priority now. So you can still see the adventure and the excitement is still there, but I want to get away, right? I want to get out. I want my family to enjoy the outdoors. And I used to work on Mount Washburn. This is in Yellowstone National Park. So being able to take my family and my kids to areas where I worked is one of my greatest joys right now. So my priorities have changed over time. And now I can't go gallivanting across the country, putting out forest fires. I stay at home. I play sports with my kids. I travel with my family. And it's one of the things that I love to do the most. So let me get back over to presentation here. So a couple of things that just so you can see. So I did the form as well. And one of the things that I actually did use one of those open boxes at the bottom, and I put to have a flexible work day. So it's not so much I love working from 8 to 5 because I know when I go to work, I know when I get off. One of the things I dread is coming to work and doing the same thing day after day after day. I'm not very good at that. Whereas my wife, she loves it. And again, there's not right or wrong, but she would love to just put some headphones in, do the same thing over and over and over, and be done at 5 o'clock and go home. It's less stress. It's not as exciting, but she's contributing. And that's what is perfect for her. Whereas I like the stress, I like the change. And so that's something that I look for in my daily job. Every day I come to work, there's always a different issue. There's always something different to do or a different conversation to have, a different place to go. But one of the things that my top priority is good benefits. It's that second one on that second page. The salary is important, but health insurance is extremely important to me. Having daycare options. I mean, we get free pop here at the office. I don't really drink it anymore, but it's always nice to have. Personal development days here at the office. Advisors Excel does a good job of taking care of its employees, and I value that. They value me, so therefore I value the company, and I want to do a really good job to keep that going. So that's number one, top priority for me when I'm looking for a career. I also put making a positive difference, whether I'm fighting fires or helping advisors coach their clients on their finances. I feel like I'm positively impacting other people's lives. It may be directly or indirectly, but I can make that connection, and that's important to me. And then one of the other ones is it requires me to be a leader. And being a leader is not the same as being a manager. There's a very strong distinction there. So things to keep in mind are people don't pick, managers, or, they don't pick their, my bosses, they don't really pick their leaders, right? Subordinates or people pick their leaders. They pick who they're going to follow. And so it doesn't really matter what job you have, what level of that job, you can always be a leader. And so that's one of my goals, is whether I'm a VP of wealth management or in an entry-level position, I want to be the best I can at my job so that people look to me to be a leader. And when they need advice or they need help, that's where I want to step in. And I feel like I'm being successful at that because and this is a real life story, I had an advisor call me on a Saturday, and he had made some really bad decisions and lost a lot of his own money. It wasn't his client's money, it was his own money. But he called me first to confide in me and have that conversation. Okay, so that's kind of what I want. I want to be put in that position. I'm comfortable with that. And I'm glad that people can lean on me, right? And that's going to kind of be a nice segue into our kind of the second session of this first part. But so make sure if you didn't get a chance to completely finish that worksheet, take some time and really think about, my values haven't changed. I want to help people, whether I have an exciting career like being a firefighter, or I sit here at Advisors Excel, I'm on the phone a lot, and it's still exciting, but in different ways. But my underlying values haven't changed. I still want to help people and positively impact their lives. All right, so these next couple charts, because the educational component, the education part of it is pretty strong. Right, the facts don't really lie here. This is based off the U.S. government. Okay, so if you have a high school diploma and you graduate with a high school diploma, you're looking at making about $38,000 a year. All right, this is your average annual earnings. And you can see as you go up, the associate's degree is a 2-year degree. All right, I have an associate's of applied science and fire science. So I have a degree in being a firefighter. That was beneficial to getting good jobs in the fire department. And so that's what I was using. Then I moved on and got my bachelor's degree. And so from there, that's the 4-year degree. Master's degree, that's an additional couple years usually. And then the doctoral degree, that's the big one, right? That's when you have that PhD after your name, and it's a lot of schooling. All right. So I am not a good student. I'm not going to lie. This is, yeah, I know it. And that's where, let me take a look at a couple things here. And so I knew that I was never going to be a lifetime student, right? To be a doctor, you have to spend 8 to 10 years in school. That wasn't my cup of tea. So I knew right away I wasn't going to become a doctor, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right. I kind of knew where my swim lane was. And unfortunately, now I'm approaching my 40s and I love to learn. I never want to stop learning. And so I just didn't have that drive back when I was in college. So, but it's kind of worked out, right? You kind of make the best of your decisions here. And so when you add up kind of all of those average earnings that you earn in a year, right? All those paychecks that you get in a year during, if you have a high school diploma, you'll make about $1.5 million in your working life. Okay. $1.5 million. Sounds like a lot of money, right? Associate's degree, 1.8. You can kind of see how much money you make is going to improve with the level of education that you have. These are only median numbers. These are averages. Nobody on this call, nobody in your school is average. This is taking everybody together and saying, okay, if I have a bachelor's degree, I'm going to make $2.5 million in my life. Again, I only have a bachelor's degree, and I'm hopefully on a trajectory to make well over that. So don't limit yourself by these numbers. Don't think, okay, I'm only going to make $2.5 million. The idea here is that the more effort you put into your schooling, the better, or at least from an income perspective, the better off you're going to be over the long term. And so one of the guys that I grew up with, who was a mentor to me, said, work hard now, play later, or you can play now in high school and college and work hard for the rest of your life. So I tried to take that to heart as best as I could. And I kind of haven't stopped with that mentality. I always try to work hard now, but I also want to play hard when I'm out with my family. So this is more so to get an idea of, okay, where do I kind of fall and what do I want to do with my life? And on that sheet that we just did, that activity, you'll see on the right, there's a high growth career options. Those are some of those things that right now that really kind of lend to, to those traits that you picked up on. So, for example, one of them was, a job that offers excitement, firefighter, paramedic. Okay, so those are high growth jobs right now. If you want to work outdoors, wind turbine, service technician, working indoors. Maybe you're just not an outdoor person. That's okay. An optometrist, a lab technician. Those are still really, really good jobs, and there's a lot of opportunities there. Okay, so again, it comes down to finding out who you are and then finding a career field that really kind of matches up to, okay, I love being outside. So maybe one of the downfalls of my job is that I don't get out as much as I want to, but morning, lunch, morning, noon, and afternoon, I just go for a 10, 15-minute walk. Gets me outside, breathe some fresh air. So we're going to just kind of run through a couple of these examples real quick, just so you can kind of see how this fits into a real world example. So I'll read through this. Michael values helping people directly. A high salary is not his top priority. He would like a career that has flexible schedule or that allows him to work for himself. He's willing to complete a certificate program. So that's more of like a 2-year degree, but he doesn't want to commit to a 4-year college. What careers would be good choices for him? So nutritionists and computer programmers typically require a 4-year degree. All right. So those are probably checked off. He's kind of already outlined. He's not a good student. So personal trainer, that's excellent. Median pay, $36,000 a year, really nice living. What if he goes on to create his own personal training practice, right? He owns his own business and he has multiple personal trainers. Now he can exponentially make more money, right? So find things that you're passionate about and the money will come. You tend to make as much money as you want to make. So, and a massage therapist is another good option as well. Median pay, $38,000 a year. Again, what if I open a massage parlor and I have 3 or 4 masseuses that are working with us on that? So Growth is wherever you want to find it. But this is a classic example. It's not about the high salary, though. It sounds like he wants more of a lifestyle. Okay. So we're going to just kind of talk about this. And I wanted you to take a couple minutes to think about some of these questions is when you're trying to decide what to do, what job does a family member or someone do well? What are those people that are happiest? Why are they happy and what are they doing to achieve that? Is it because they're making a lot of money or is it because what they're doing, they're being valued? What jobs have you seen either in a movie or on TV that seem interesting to you? That's a good one to kind of get some ideas, but remember it's TV. Okay, a lot of that is romanticized. It's idealized. You kind of watch TV with rose-colored glasses on, and so know that a detective is not going to be like on Blue Bloods or Law and Order or all these things, right? That's not real life. So use that for ideas, but not necessarily your final decision. Take a look at what's going on around your home. I'm getting a new roof tomorrow. Someone is coming to put that on because we had a storm in March with hail that destroyed my roof. So they're coming out, put a new roof on. They make really good money. They're outside. If those kind of things appeal to you, roofing can be a really good job. It's really, really tough though. All right. So I think you kind of have the idea now of kind of things to be thinking about, really. You're not going to solve this over, a 10 or 15 minute, exercise. This is about figuring out who you are. And as you go through this process, there's going to be discussions you need to have with other people. And they can be really, really tough discussions. All right. Personally, when my wife and I got married, I carried a lot of credit card debt. Okay. I lived that firefighter lifestyle. I traveled a lot. I bought TVs on credit. I borrowed money to buy TVs and music and all that stuff that you do when you're not very smart and you don't really know. I never went through a junior achievement program. And so part of that was I had to have a really tough discussion with my wife before we got married saying, here's our financial situation. Here's where I'm at. Are we in this together? And luckily she said yes. So it's extremely important to always keep in mind who is affected by your decisions. So the decision you make about your finances, like how you will earn an income, are only about you. Well, that's definitely false, as from what I just said. Every decision I make today, it's my family. It's my family's decision, it's my wife's decision, and even how it affects my kids. And so you have to think about that, and you can't just make decisions on a whim. Right? They have to be well thought out. How is this going to affect everything that I do? Here's a classic example. I'm planning on taking classes at a local university. I want to continue to live at home to save money. Great solution, right? I actually did this. I lived at home to save some money for when we got married, and I was also in school at the time. But who does this affect? Well, number one, it affected my future wife, but it also affected my parents. They have to put up with me for that much longer. And I was the youngest. So luckily they were happy to have me and they wanted me to stay in the house as long as they could possibly keep me. But I also tried to help out more. I tried to actually pay them some money to help offset some of the bills. I tried to buy my own food because I still wanted to be responsible, but I saved, $500, $600, $700 a month by not paying a mortgage. But that doesn't mean I'm completely off the hook. I wanted to be contributing to the family. And so, that affected them. I'm finishing a program so I can start working as soon as I graduate. I need a car to get to work, but I need someone to co-sign for a loan. Co-signing for a loan means maybe I sign it as someone who's been working for 20 years now, and maybe you sign it as, as someone who doesn't really have a history of credit. So you need someone to kind of help out saying, okay, if I can't make the payments, John is going to step in and help out with the payments. So that's a really difficult conversation to have, but one that hopefully a lot of parents or mentors are happy to help out with because they know that to get started, you need a little help. My parents co-signed on my first cards. They co-signed on my first car loan because they had a history of making money. So they were good for it, right? So they're going to be extremely affected by that. And when they co-sign, I'm extremely motivated to pay off that loan because I don't want to let them down. They took a chance on me, and I want to keep that trust is really what it comes down to. All right. So these decisions come, and they're extremely impactful. To go back to that client that called me on over the weekend, he lost a large sum of money, and he called me first. And while I appreciate that, he's married with a baby on the way. His first call probably shouldn't have been to me to confide in me, which I appreciate, but it probably should have been to talk to his wife and to really just have a discussion. And because there's just all this stress that's just sitting on you all the time. So here's my recommendation is take the worst conversation you can, that you're thinking about in your head, and whether that's with your parents, whether that's with a friend, something is really bothering you, have the conversation. Right away, you'll feel better. Approach it the right way. Ask for help. It can be extremely stressful. Posting on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat, again, I'm old, so these are probably all old social media outlets. That's not talking to someone. That's the same thing as yelling into a pillow. Okay, confide in people. Keep your inner circle close to you, and have those discussions. Talk to people about, okay, I'm having, here's where I want to go with my life. How is this going to impact you? A classic example is my wife wanted to join the Peace Corps. The Peace Corps goes overseas to help, kind of help the poor. And her parents talked her out of it and said, why don't you help the poor around here? It would be more impactful. You can be around your family. And so it may not lead to the decision you want, but it can, maybe help you to lead you to a better solution and one that you have support on. Okay. So you're not in this alone. All right. So characteristics of healthy relationships. You didn't know that this was going to turn into a psychology class, did you? But it really is about trust. Trusting each other, having balance in your life, family, relationships, work, school. Make sure that you're keeping all of that in line. Okay. And most likely, if something's not going right, focus on that area for just a little bit longer. Maybe your relationship with your parents isn't the greatest right now. That happens with my kids. So I try to spend more time with my kids to try to work through that a little bit more. Maybe work's not going great. Maybe I'm not hitting my goals. Okay. I talk to my family and I say, I need to focus on work a little bit more because I'm kind of falling off there. Right. So, but it has to have, there has to be conversations there. Okay. So we're going to kind of skip this one because it's kind of a role play, and obviously it's extremely difficult to do a role play on a recorded call. But you will see on that same student activity sheet, there's some examples kind of like we just shared where they're walking through a situation and who is affected by that situation and maybe how that conversation can go. Okay, so I definitely recommend taking a look at those and just reading through them and just brainstorming, okay, how would I approach that conversation to get to the most meaningful outcome that I possibly can? Okay. And to kind of summarize this, I know that I just kind of sat here and spouted off for about 40 minutes or so, and usually that's not the best way to go about it. But take a look, take a step back, and really focus on what's important to you. All right, there's no right or wrong answer. Talk to people about it, formulate thoughts, and then run those thoughts by your friends and your family to really deepen your belief in your own core values. Okay, that's kind of what I did growing up, and it's kind of ever evolving. The careers are going to change, the jobs are going to change, as we've seen with everything going on today. Your world can change around you, but those core values and priorities are going to stay with you all the time. All right, so make sure you take some time to find out who you are with that, and really build a circle of people that you trust, and kind of call it your inner circle, so to speak, someone that you can bounce ideas off of and talk through some of these things. Consider the priorities, values, educational goals when considering career opportunities. We touched on that. And then your decisions affect other people. And again, that inner circle, how does that affect you? All right, how does that affect other people? Because you need to keep that in the back of your mind to lead to better decision making. All right, so again, I kind of breezed through that there in about 40 minutes. And I really appreciate, again, Ashley, thank you for allowing me to come on here and talk. And hopefully it provided some insight, at least on the earning, the employment, and kind of prioritizing your values and maybe some careers that go along with it. And no one's going to do the work for you. So you got to put in some time now and really brainstorm and think through this on how this applies to you. Okay. So Ashley, I am going to try to figure out technology again here and turn it back over to you.
That sounds great. Well, while you're doing that, thank you everyone for participating in our first session in regards to earning employment and income. We hope you come back and watch our next session, which is in regards to budgeting. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording for the video,